Tangle friends. Well, we're nearing the end of our challenge, and today we're going to do days 26, 27, and 28. And the first day is this beautiful tangle. Of course, I love it because it's like a little flower, right? It's called Milia Crown by Susan Yo, CZT. And I am going to be putting it in this space here. Let me turn this so you can see it nicely. And I penciled in my sketch of it just because I really wanted to fill out the whole space with it and yet have a little bit of going over the edge. And I just, since this is Zentangle inspired art, I figured I could be artistic about it and pencil that in. So let's start with putting our Huggins in. Put the top on, and I'm just going to leave some space there. Okay, now this one I've decided to do in my brown pen, my light brown pen, like going for something like this. Originally, I wanted to do something like this where the two heads were reflecting each other, but I decided to just really showcase the pod. I'm calling it a poppy pod for lack of a better word. It's a little bit like a jug, right? From its shape. So beautiful. And so many variations with it. So here we go. I'm going to pencil out the jug like the step out. So the step out starts out like this. And then adds the little curly cues. And in the actual step out, the curly cues are pretty close to the sides here. I have purposely chosen to flare mine out a little bit more because I want to do something here. I want to make this into a kind of 3D fescue with the highlights. So this is how I'm doing it. And then I will be filling that in with a highlight, you'll see. The next step is to make this little join like that. That's going to give us some dimension and make it feel like you're looking inside the pod. Then we do this funky little thing that kind of looks like a cactus to me. That's her step out. And then she does put a little like a midrib in there. And of course you can vary that. So I'm going to vary it and make mine a little bit more pronounced by putting almost like a Samson leaf in there. I guess I would put the veins in first. I do want it to come pretty close there because now we're going to connect this and fill it in dark. So that does look like you're looking down into the cup or into the pod. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and do my fescues here. And what I'm doing is leaving a highlight where the light would be touching. And then the next step is to make this band, an aura line. And then we're going to put in some line work here. And hers has this kind of almost like our tangle in a pod shape. And you can do something really cool with that by putting little pearls in there, which I plan to do today. The actual step out doesn't have that, but we're going to just do our version. So then you just aura that. And this is an opportunity to add sparkle, which is when you break the line. We've talked about that before. When you break the line, you create an automatic highlight. But I don't want to do that because there's I'm going to be highlighting it myself with the white. Then I'm going to bring the stem down. And I'm flaring it a little here. And I'm going to go ahead and put a great big pearl in here, and then some smaller ones. Since I have kind of an orb thing going on, I thought that would be a nice addition. And then in the background, I've penciled in some more of these funky little leaves, whatever they are. And then I'm going to turn my tile, fill in the other one. And that way when I hatch the background in, it will not be so dominant. Now I'm going to take my eraser and erase that traced, or my sketch basically. And I think the beauty of this tangle will come in the shading, which I'm going to do with my Indian red. I'm just layering it up a little bit, same color. With my red pen, my brownish red pen, I'm going to weight some of these lines. Not all of them, but just give them a little bit of character. Bring the ones back that got kind of lost in the shading. And then tiny weights here. And then I will shade that and be back. Oops. And then for the background, I'm going to just do some black close-knit lines that are going to go on the bias. So I just got out my little plexiglass shield that I made. I just don't want to smear my hand on to what is already drawn there. Then I will shade around those to sort of lift them from that background. And then, of course, we've got our Huggins blending. And the most fun is putting our sparkle on these little pearls. And looking at that, it's a little flat, so I'm going to add some light weight. And I think we can say that one's done. There we have day 26, Milia Crown by Susan Yeo. Okay, we are on to day 27, Kamu by Annette Rimpler, CZT. Sounds very German to me. I think she's one of our German colleagues. So I've decided to put Rimpler in this space here. And I'm going to do a reflective Rimpler to make some gemstones again. So gemstones seem to be my theme going on here. And so we're going to start out by inking the Huggins. And I'm going to do my aura. Seems like so long ago that I forgot those first few auras. And we're getting close to the end of our challenge here. Oh, Scheiße. I just did something. Okay, how am I going to fix this? Guess I'm going to go like that. This is where it should have gone. Very interesting. Okay, we'll figure out what to do with that, I guess. I think I know what I actually might do. So I got confused because I had originally penciled in the line here that is going to be the dividing line for our Rimpler. And this is a really simple tangle, actually, that is very reminiscent of the tangle Arucas by Zen Tangle. And it starts like this. I'm just going to keep this line as a string, that means in graphite. And I'm going to start by putting some little crescent moons spaced apart. And then I'm going to turn my tile just for ease. The next step is just to put down some legs centered like that. I'm calling these pillars. This has a very rhythmic feel to it and it's quite zen. So let's just do the whole tangle first before we reflect it. The next step is to aura the bottom and the top lines. And if this were straight here, we would make it straight. But I'm going to follow the curve of this given line, always drawing behind, because this is the beauty of this tangle. It weaves in and out. Okay, that's top and bottom. And then comes oh no, my daughter just tried calling me in between, and I think I may have lost videoing this part. So I'm going to go ahead and show you again how to just draw rimpler in the reflected way that I did on my Crazy Huggins. So we start with this line that is going to be penciled in because we want to use that just as a guide for where to place our gems, right? And then we're going to go and make our first set of crescent moons. And then we're going to put these little legs on, or pillars I call them, right in the middle of that crescent moon hill. And then we're going to start the aura with the bottom. Now I can go ahead and ink that in and do my aura line. Aura line. And the top. Or the top and the bottom, whatever order you like. But I do get this rhythm going that I say to myself, top, bottom, crescent, pillar. And that's how I know what the order of my aura lines are, because that is very important. So we think top, bottom, crescent, and that's where the weaving happens. Whoops, that doesn't seem to be working. You could also say 1, 2, 3, 4 to yourself. This would be 3. And 4 would be these pillars. And you keep doing that until you reach the point of which you are happy. And you can go all the way until it's closed up. But as you saw on my piece, I just went, you can turn your paper at this point. And that's how I did my reflected one. And then I would do the exact same step as here. So 1, I'm doing this really quick, but you'll take your time and make your line work more precise. 3 and 4. You know you're right when you always see this weaving within the other line that it's touching. That's 2, so there's 3. And that is it. That's what I wanted to show you. And the other thing I wanted to show you was the version I actually wanted to do of casual was this one. It's a lot simpler than the one I showed you on my actual Huggins. Here's another a fun one, but it's just dividing this in half here and then threes here, so, or fours. So that's it looks a lot less complicated if you wanted to try to do it that way. That's just a quick sketch, but I did want to show you that. I just went on and reflected what I had done before, and now I'm going to fill in my mistake here. I'm trying to decide if I should put it here. I probably have more room here, right? So I'm going to do my little crescent moon here. And a nice long pillar. And let's start with the crescent moon, and then we'll go like this. Looks kind of cool, actually. And I think I'm gonna do just lines up there. Huh, interesting. It does give it an interesting twist for sure. Maybe I will make this line gold. That's what we do when we mess up, right? If you add gold, it's all good. Now comes the fun part, which is shading. Here we go. Wherever these line up, I'm going to put a little graphite. I mean, here I'm going to go ahead and put some here. And before I shade, I am going to get rid of that line. Saving out the highlight. And once again, I'm going to bring some of those colors in from around. Actually, this one has more of the Indian red nearby. This one also has a little bit of and then I'm going to go put a little white back over that. Maybe lift the gray a tiny bit. It's kind of hard when they're so small. And of course, in here, and then my Huggins shading. So they're looking a little bit more like opals today. In fact, I'm going to add a little bit more. So it's kind of like that, those fire opals. And blend. And I think I'm just going to leave that background. You can fill that in dark, you can add more line work, but I'm kind of liking the lightness of it right now. And the only other thing that I'm going to do is, of course, put our highlight on our highlight, our super highlight, right? That would be day 27, Kamu by Annette Rumpler. Love that tangle. Can't wait to play with it more. All right. Oh, I guess we could do a little bit of shading here. That's in the shadow, so it doesn't really need to be up. And I think I forgot that one. this out, I'm going to just put a little bit of a drop shadow on these. Tone and tone. And I'm going to go ahead and color this. Like I said, I might end up doing all of them that are not gold in this color. In which case, I am going to blend this down. Okay, there is day 27, Kamu. I love it. Now our last day, 28, is a little bit of a trickier tangle, for me anyway. I don't know about you, but it is called Casual, and I will not even begin to say this name. I'm sorry, I just don't know how to pronounce their name, but this person is a CZT, and it's a really cool tangle that ends up looking like this. Now I put it in a grid, and as you see here, when we make our little first strokes, which are like little rectangles with a line through them, we want them to be spaced such as we do Knightsbridge. So every other or alternating. And so I've already drawn my grid here, but first we're going to pen in the Crazy Huggins. This time I'm going to do it right. I can't believe what I did up there. I tell you, it's evening, and I just don't function as well in the evening. I'm a morning person, but I had a lot of things to do today, and I just am now getting ready to settle in. There we go. So we don't want to pen out the grid. That's just going to be our guideline, kind of like a string. And I am going to do this one in black as well. And what I'm going to do is start, I guess I'll start here. Always in the center, I'm going to make this triangle and a little line through it. So just like when we're doing Knightsbridge, if you feel like you might mess up, like I have been doing, you might go ahead and just pencil in a little dot where those are going to go so that you don't like mindlessly just start filling all of the squares in. Like would be very possible for me to do. So I'm going to follow my dots. And again, this is all kind of be stretched and kind of wonky, but I think that's the beauty of it. You don't have to make it perfect. So what's important about this tangle is when you've got these showing you large, you have a top and a bottom line respectively. So we're going to go and connect from this top line to this top line, from this bottom line to this bottom part of the cake, or the however you want to see it. So it's always top to top, bottom to bottom, and that's going to help us keep a nice aura line. And what you need to know is however thick you make these rectangles, that's going to determine the thickness of those joining S shapes. They're kind of like backwards S shapes. So this one's really small, so it's going to be a little bit more challenging to see. So the top goes to the top, backwards S, top or bottom to the bottom. And then this top one keeping on the top one. Always think first. This one's going to be funky because it's going. This one's going to be really long. Top to top. Bottom to bottom. This one's going off the page. On this one, let's see. So let's go from here, top. Okay, I think that's, oh no, we need to finish these off. Sorry, I have to turn this or else I can't think. This one's challenging for me. Okay, now we have our grid to get rid of. Oh, one more here. So top. Okay. Now we want to erase our grid. And one cool thing that you can do with this tangle is, and I saw some people were using this as a string for the whole Inktober tangles, which is a great idea because you can put all kinds of tangles in there. And since we're doing so many floral things, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to do some henna drums, and I'm going to do them in 2 different colors just so that we can pick those colors up. Something like that. Then the background. So let's do one that's a little bit bigger here. And let me show you on this one how I would shade, just because I'm going to go and finish this without filming. I am having some technical issues today and I don't want to push it. So I'm going to just shade here. This is my Indian red. And I will blend that out. And you can already see how pretty that is, and we'll just put a little bit of white highlight up here. And we could make this our brown ochre, leaving a little light here. And then you can go back in, oops, with your pen. Just to give it some character. Something like that. And some of these are so tiny you can't even do that. Okay. I will be back to show you my finished day 28. Okay, let me tell you, I am finished now with this section, and all I did was shade it like I had shown you, shaded my Crazy Huggins portion, and I did add a little bit of white on the joins just to see them a little bit better. I have to say that I used my General's charcoal this time instead of my colored pencil, it was working for me better. But see, it's so fleeting. I just have to keep going back in there. I'm going to be spraying this whole thing when I'm finished because otherwise I'm going to lose a lot of the whites. I also went back in here and I did darken in those sections that I had only lined out before. I think it brings that pattern up better. Yeah, so that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed these suggestions, and I will see you for our last section of Inktober Tangles. Can't believe it. It's been a whole month. Bye for now. Thanks for joining me.